Today we'll be reviewing the Legendary banner for May 2024. We'll talk about our new hero and briefly cover the 11 other units on the banner. It's been a long time coming, but Legendary Male Corrin is finally here. It's been so long since Female Corrin got her Legendary ult that she already has a Refine plus Remix. In that time, Fire Emblem Engage also released, and while Female Corrin was chosen to represent their emblem form, this Male Corrin may have taken some aspects from Emblem Corrin. Now, for this ult, we are still not getting Omega Yato. Instead, Male Corrin is a green infantry dragon, just like his Halloween ult. He is a fire pair of legendary that will boost speed. We didn't see his full stats, but from his kit, it looks like this Corrin will be on the faster side with a higher res focus. We've seen a lot of those type of dragons. The Dragon Corrins are also usually trainees, so expect a little extra BST. In terms of ult skills, Corrin has Speed and Res Finish 4. Reminder, Speed and Res Finish 3 is now on Demote Yulia. His other ult skill is Attack and Res Ploy 3, last seen on Rearmed Sonya. Similar to say Veil, Corrin technically wants high base res to proc Ploy, however, the rest of his kit mainly does in-combat res checking and Finish 4 fits Corrin's playstyle. This tier 4 Ploy may be more of a bonus, so if you feel it isn't consistent enough, feel free to swap that out. Now, for his weapon, Male Corrin has the Hoshido's Breath. If you haven't noticed, Legendary Female Corrin is based on her Nor version of the Noble class, while Male Corrin will obviously be going with Hoshido. This 16-Might Breath has built-in distant counter and accelerated specials. Every turn if above 25% HP, Corrin gets times pulse, so -1 cooldown if his special's at max value. In combat, if above 25% HP, Corrin gets bonus stats equal to 5 plus the number of allies within 3 spaces, times 3. Have 3 nearby allies for a max plus 14 to all stats. Corrin will then have 7 flat damage reduction for first attacks with an S. If the foe uses an offensive special and Corrin has 5 or more res, he inflicts -1 cooldown on the foe before their first attack. This is just Scowl. After combat, if Corrin's special is at max value, he gets -1 cooldown to recharge. As usual, adaptive damage versus ranged foes to pair with that distant counter. Overall, pretty solid selection of tank perks. You got Scowl, Flat DR, DC, a ton of stats, and a ton of free cooldown. This Corrin is sort of an anti-ranged unit. He can mess with them in more ways than just good old distant counter. To empower his kit, Corrin has a unique 2 cooldown special, Dragon Fang Shot, apparently same name as their neutral special in Smash, and yes, it's the animation Emblem Corrin does for her engage attack. It does 4 things here. First, it boosts damage by 40% resistance. Second, if Corrin has higher res than the foe, reduce damage from the foe's attacks and AoE specials by a percentage. This value requires some parentheses/brackets. First, it's 4 minus the current special cooldown value. You times that by the difference between Corrin and the foe's res stats. Like Dragon Wall, this has a max of 40% DR if Corrin has 10 or more resistance. Since Dragon Fang Shot is a 1 cooldown special with Slaying, if Corrin has 10 or more resistance, the lowest DR amount he gets is 30%. However, since Hoshido's Breath pre-charges this special, it should be 40% most of the time, and this is unpierceable damage reduction. For the third effect, if Dragon Fang Shot is ready or has triggered already, reduce the foe's %DR non-special skills by 50%. Like finished skills, this means it's a half DR piercing special, but if Corrin makes a follow-up attack that is a basic attack, then that can also get half DR piercing. Now, the last effect is that after combat, if Dragon Fang Shot did trigger, apply Divine Vein water tiles on the target space and all spaces within 2 spaces of that for 1 turn. Water Terrain is a new effect. It does 3 things. Like Flame Tiles, it is difficult terrain for ranged foes, aka it costs +1 movement to move through. Second, it inflicts -5 speed on foes in combat. Third, it also cuts the foe's non-special % skills in half. In Engage, Emblem Corrin can deploy Water Tiles with her special attack or Divine Vein skill. Water Tiles restrict movement and lower Avoid. Less chance of dodging is translated into DR Piercing in Fade. Not saying you should combo Legendary Male Corrin with Legendary Camilla, but her half DR Piercing status will stack with the Water Tiles. It also just works with Corrin's special in combat. Anywho, Dragon Fang Shot must trigger to deploy the Water Tiles. Scowl actually is a pretty good tool against this Corrin. For his last new skill, Male Corrin brings the inheritable High Dragon Wall. I assume this is just a tier 4 Dragon Wall B skill usable by all dragons. High Dragon Wall does 4 things. First, it grants a Phantom Res effect for +5 resistance. It inflicts -4 speed and res on the foe in combat. The Dragon Wall 40% DR effect is exactly the same. Last, ranged foes cannot warp into spaces within 4 spaces of the user. This is Warp Bubble. High Dragon Wall getting Phantom Res can help other res comparing skills. This includes Hoshido's Breath Scowl effect, Dragon Fang Shot's unperishable percent DR, and then maybe it can help Corrin use that attack and res deploy 3C skill. Besides the deploy debuff, the -4 res debuffs also help all of Corrin's res checks. As for that Warp Bubble effect, this is the first time a warp blocking effect is not on Gatekeeper or a Mer alt. It only works against ranged foes, but better than nothing. This isn't going to stop Sharena's endless extra actions or similar units, but for units like Bridal Lapis, who can enable 5 range 2-space warping, yeah, Warp Bubble is quite nice. Overall, Male Corrin is going to be another Omni tank with DC capabilities and unprincipled damage reduction. He probably is quite fast and should have decent resistance to make all his res checking skills work. He can pre-charge and recharge his special, Dragon Fang Shot gets half DR piercing, and should it activate, Corrin deploys water tiles around the foe's space. This can very quickly stop an advance from multiple ranged foes, and High Dragon Wall blocks warping from ranged foes as well. If Corrin can get foes into those water tiles, they lose half their effective DR skills, unless it's unpierceable kind. This can give Corrin some player phase utility, and technically he can stack his own DR piercing effects. With Finish 4, he gains extra true damage and healing. That's nice after the percent DR plus flat DR combo. Assuming his base res is probably around 40-ish, you can deploy a decent amount of targets as well. Now, Male Corrin should be a pretty solid unit, however, a lot of his kit depends on having more resistance than the enemy. If Corrin were to lose a res check, he actually has 0% DR and no scowl. Speaking of which, if Dragon Fang Shot doesn't trigger, the no DR piercing and no water tiles. Flow Guard 4 just got introduced and can give scowl to a lot more units than dragons, and Corrin doesn't have no guard either. Also, if you can use High Dragon Wall, Corrin could just get hit by sweep effects. There are definitely some ways to mess up his game plan. Generally speaking, still a solid unit, but always a concern when stat checking is heavily involved in a kit. You just gotta be aware of that. For the 11 other heroes on the banner, we'll briefly talk about each one. In red, we have Emblem Ike, Emblem Marth, and Kvasir. Blue has Lumera, Legendary Shez, and Legendary Fang. Green has the new Legendary Male Corrin, Legendary Female Alear, and Rearmed Lucina. Colorless has Gullveig, Askr, and Rearmed Hortensia. If you haven't been playing Fang in 2024, you will want to know that Engage's Emblem Rings have made their way into the game. This red group has both currently released Emblem heroes. Starting with Emblem Ike, he's just a beast of a sword infantry tank. His Ragnar has DC, Slaying, no C Disrupt, no guard, and neutralizes all stat penalties. Great Aether lets the foe use all their attacks first, and Ike weathers a storm with a lot of unpierceable damage reduction. After combat, Ike triggers a big AoE for 5 damage with Pulse Smoke, and he heals based on the number of foes hit. He is Brave Ike on steroids. If you have one copy of Emblem Ike, you can use his ring to engage with another unit at any time. His emblem effect gives unpierceable percent DR against ranged foes. To synergize with his kit and his emblem ring, Ike has the very interesting Lagu's Friend 4B skill. This skill cuts your own percent DR skills in half, but gives flat DR, DR piercing specials with true damage, and instant cooldown. Insanely strong synergy with Emblem Ike's ring, so there is huge incentive to summon a lot of copies. For some other fun skills, Ike also has Deep Finish 4 and Console Control. We just got a unit who can refresh console usage, so if that starts getting out of hand, you're definitely going to want to lock that down. Our next Emblem hero is Emblem Marth. He's going for the more typical speedy sword infantry playstyle. Marth's totally not Falchion, has dragon effectiveness with Slaying. It grants stats based on Marth's speed, has 40% DR, cuts enemy percent DR skills in half, and Marth gets Desperation on both phases. This has synergy with his Potent 4B skill. This skill is also on the new dual Sharena, but Emblem Marth is the best user of it because his unique special lets his potent follow-ups deal 100% damage. Lodestar Rush also gives no guard and unpierceable 40% damage reduction. If Marth outspeeds, he can attack 3 times in a row. This can also trigger multiple Finish 4 procs. Definitely you want Infantry No Follow 4 for the self no follow-up status with Warping. If you have a copy of Emblem Marth, his ring gives anyone free Slaying. -1 cooldown can change basically any build, so it's an insane effect to just play around with. Joining the already incredible red group is Mythic Kvasir. She's a Glass Cannon Red Mage Cav, Dark Mythic. Kvasir has a Slaying Tome with lots of speed and damage. She gets full no follow-up, Red Tide cooldown, 70% damage reduction for first combat per phase, and Panic Smoke. Light as Time is a 5 cooldown special with no guard and 60% attack scaling. Similar to Brave Man special, if it does trigger, it can refresh an ally after combat. If no one is within the refresh range or can be refreshed, Kvasir gets a status that lets allies warp to her. For other skills, Kvasir has attack and speed catch, low speed and res 4, and insight attack and speed, just pure damage setups. Overall, this is one of the craziest red groups just because both Emblem heroes are here. Just having one copy of them gives you an entirely new feature, not to mention they are great units themselves. Next up is the blue group. Not to be confused with Fallen Rearmed Lumera, we have her mythic form. Light mythic, blue infantry dragon, similar to the new Fallen alt, Lumera's Seaska gives Divine Vein Stone terrain and no guard support. Lumera herself gets 30% DR, and her weapon has additional damage reduction. It also has slaying, stats, true damage with guard. Lumera has attack and speed scout 4, which you can get the tier 3 from the new Bridal Knell. She also is the only unit with attack and speed ruse 4 for that fun schism status. To proc the ruse, she has defense res or rally, defense res plus. In terms of supporting allies, Fallen Lumera's Cisco does the same as this mythic alt. However, you can bring the Fallen one into any season you want. Now, for legendary female Shez, she's a blue dagger infantry unit, not a swordy. Her Askr Blades is a dual phase brave dagger with bread type cooldown. Swift Slice gives Shez effective damage if she outspeeds foes, but against human infantry, you gotta outspeed by a pretty massive plus 20. To help with that, she has Seal Speed 4 and Attack and Speed Oath 4 for self-buffing and warping. Swift Slice is player phase only, so this Shez is melee initiator. Effective damage brave attacks can get pretty wild though. Now, our third blue unit is Legendary Faye, who we haven't seen in a little bit. She's a bulky blue infantry dragon. Her weapon has follow-up denial with guard. Faye's gimmick is her unique special, which is a miracle special that self-charges on turn 1. After it triggers, Faye full heals like a raid boss once per map. For other skills, she has Distance Stance, which is nice. Dragon's Ire 3 for a follow-up, and then Demon Res Menace if the enemy is getting close. Definitely a little old, but Instant Miracle is still hilariously annoying. Onto the green group, this includes the new legendary Male Corrin. For fodder, you can use the 3-4-star Yulia for Spinner Res Finish 3. If you got extras of Nier's Melkana, he has Dragon Wall 3 as well, although that skill's been around for a lot longer. As for attack and res ploy, you can just use attack or res ploy 3, it's very obtainable from Grey or Demo units. If you need to do res checking, High Dragon Wall could be useful for things like Scowl. Maybe you can pass that around via the recent Rearmed Fallen Lumera. Now, joining her fellow Fire Emblem sword-wielding dragon protag, we have legendary female Alear. She's also a green infantry dragon with excellent speed. This Alear's niche is being able to give her support partner DR piercing specials. Alear herself needs her support on the team to receive that same bonus. Since she's a makeshift martial arts unit, female Alear has dual phase brave attacks. She has slaying, inflicts debuffs based on nearby allies from different titles, and has percent damage reduction, with one of those percent DR effects being unpierceable. For skills, Alear has attack and speed finish 4 and no distant 4 to fight back. Her male counterpart also has attack and speed pledge, but it's still a pretty rare Cisco in general. Fun unit, excellent fodder. Our last green unit is Rearmed Lucina. She's a fast axe cavalier with her arcane Thrima axe. It's meant for the speedier units. Thrima inflicts attack and defense debuffs that always hit the closest foes, and it has a built-in sabotage effect. It has slaying, full tempo, and no follow-up if you outspeed. It's a solid weapon. To stand out, Lucina has Future Sight, which is the swap assist that grants an extra action. Lucina and her ally will gain plus 6 attack and speed, treachery, and 40% TR when you initiate. To utilize her extra action, Lucina has Spin and Defense Snag 4 for debuffing, and another sabotage status. She has the excellent attack and speed clash for stats, and is the only unit with Alarm Defense Res for Kanto and Boss. In general, if you want legendary Male Corrin, not a bad time to try for him. Alear and Lucina have great fodder, are both fun units, and obviously Lucina's RAM status is very valuable. For Colorless, since Kvasir is here, Mythic Gullveig also is back. She's an Animal Mythic and a Colorless Cavalry Mage. Full glass cannon, Gullveig has slaying, lots of attack and speed, full no follow-up, 70% TR for one hit, and can heal after combat a little bit. Her weapon grants an extra action after initiating, although Gullveig will self-inflict gravity, and this can only happen every other turn. Her unique special is Time is Light, and it grants full no guard. If she initiates and survives, this also grants an extra action as well. Basically, it's like Gale Force. To combo with her extra moves, Gullveig has the Flared Strike combo, Occultist Strike for those magic damage dealers. She also has Defense Smoke 3 for Pathfinder, and all 3 skills are very easy to pick up. Next is Mythic Askr, Light Mythic, Colorless Beast Infantry. Lord Askr's C-skill grants Resonance Blades and Shields, as well as Time's Pulse. He may have missed the wedding, but you can still pair him with Bridal Emblem for lots of cooldown potential. Askr's weapon has slaying, stats, a free follow-up, flat DR, and true damage scaling off defense. For fodder, you can get attack and defense ideal 4 plus attack and defense bulwark 3. Considering he has a Times Policy skill, Askr could make use of Lagu's friend if you wanted to switch to Ignis. Last unit for today is Rearmed Hortensia. She's a flying healer with great offensive stats, and she has the Arcane Charmer's staff. It grants 7 HP after combat healing to nearby allies, and then is full damage with Sling, a free follow-up, red tech cooldown, and just 7 true damage on hit. If you want to use the offensive healer specials, this weapon is the go-to. Now to stand out, Hortensia has a unique C skill. This grants +6 second speed, Conto 1, and a status to neutralize debuffs in combat to nearby allies. It also inflicts speed and res debuffs, panic and discord on the nearest foes. For Hortensia herself, she gets a bonus attack and speed with no guard. It's a very solid support skill to go with the hyper offensive staff. For other skills, Hortensia has Glitter of Light, which is the flash status inflicting special. Rescue is the drawback healing assist. She then has attack and speed catch 4 and Poetic Justice. Excellent set of skills for any combative healer build. All in all, Colorless is not bad. Lord Askr doesn't have the craziest skills and is a bit old, but Gullveig and Hortensia have some excellent fodder. That'll be it for this month's Legendary Banner. Male Corrin gets his time to shine, although I definitely feel the influence of Emblem Corrin from Engage. It probably would be pretty tough to make look good in Fae, but it would have been really cool to see Corrin partially transform, like when he does the actual Dragon Fang shot move. If Alear doesn't have to turn into a dragon while still being a dragon unit, would have been neat to see this Corrin make use of their partial transformations. Personally, I don't plan to go for Corrin myself, but I'll take a copy if he wants to show up. For me, I was planning on getting myself in Emblem Ike because I had no orbs when he released. I am prepared to summon this time. If you're going to summon on the banner, I wish you good luck. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.